Nearly three-quarters of Americans fear the U.S. is heading towards a recession, according to a new CNBC survey. In fact, one economist says it will be self-inflicted, with the possibility of inflation rising and jobs being cut. CNBC senior personal finance correspondent Sharon Epperson joins us now. Sharon, what else are we learning about just how people are feeling about their own personal financial situations right now?
You know, Morgan, we've talked about this. I think we feel this way. So do a lot of Americans. They are financially stressed. Our survey found actually 2/3 of people say that they're financially stressed, almost 73%, and 38% say they are very stressed. There are a number of factors that are really contributing to this, and I think people overall just want to figure out how they can make their money work for them, but there's so many things that are out of their control.
When you talk about those different stress factors, Sharon, I mean, is it just tariffs or is there something else at play here?
Well, you know, inflation and interest rates for years have been something that have caused people financial stress. But now you add to that tariffs, you add to that layoffs, and all of those factors together are really stressing people out. In fact, tariffs, 2/3 of people say it's tariffs that are causing them to be financially stressed, and more than half are saying it's layoffs. So those are a couple of the more recent changes that we've seen that are causing people to feel stress. Also, the number of people that are opposing the president's tariff policy is close to 60%, and 72% are concerned about what the tariff policies will mean for their personal finances.
You know, when we talk about how people are feeling, what should people be doing, right? If you're worried about your money, especially in a potential recession, what are sort of the action items people should take in the next few days?
Yeah, talking to people who are saying, you know, this is beyond my control. What can I do about tariffs? What can I do about inflation? And frankly, what can I do about layoffs? I mean, there are things that you can do. And first of all, it's to keep your emotions in check, that this is not a time to be emotional. It's a time to be strategic. And one of the strategies, as we've talked about before, is to make sure you have cash on hand, have that cash cushion, not just for emergencies, but for the likelihood that we're going to see higher prices on many things across the board. You also want to be focusing on your long-term goals. If you haven't really thought clearly about what those goals are and what you need to do to reach them, now is the time to do that. And consider your resources. What have you done in the past when you faced a financial challenge or a challenge period? Who are the financial counselors that you could go to? Who are the mental health professionals that you could reach out to? So many people stressed and anxious at this time, and it's important to lean on other people. I'm leaning on you. You know that.
I'm leaning on you because you have the expert wisdom. I don't. I just got intuition, and I don't think that's enough to carry me through this possible reception. So, Sharon Epperson, thank you. And for all of us who like to follow Sharon's wisdom, for more retirement investment strategies, you can sign up for her free Money 101 newsletter.
All right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring, the house of David, the elect that's pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers, and shalom to the elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rakak Kodash. Jumping right into this article here. This is from CNBC.com. The headline, it reads, it says 73% of Americans are financially stressed. 2/3 say tariff concerns are the source. Okay, this is the end of the road. We are here. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7, and it reads, it says, but the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. All right. So the Lord is allowing us to witness the gradual decline of this system, this economy, which will usher in the mark of the beast system, followed by nuclear war. Okay. This is what's going on. And as we said before, that financial stability is a thing of the past. All right. People don't have it. This is Proverbs chapter 23, verse 5, and it reads, it says, "Thou set thy eyes upon that which is not. For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle towards heaven." All right. So at any given day, any given moment, this economy can tank, it can crash. And that's all she wrote. All right. And the Lord said that, you know, you cover yourself with a covering, but not of the Lord's Spirit. All right. Going back to your trust in Egypt. Okay, that comfort and security that you people thought you had. You know, your covering being, you know, your job, the amount of money that you have, you know, overall this system. Okay, and if we told you that again through the Spirit, that comfort, that security was going to be out the window. All right. This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 7 again. And it reads, it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed, and perish in the day of vengeance. Right. So the comfort and the security is over. Okay. I was just looking at word for security here. And this is the definition for security. It says freedom from risk or danger, safety, right? Freedom from doubt, anxiety, or fear confidence, something that gives or assures safety. You see that? And that's going back to, again, this economy, this system. And right now, as we see it, it says 73% of Americans are financially stressed. People are stressed the fuck out. All right. And we've been seeing this for months, over the past years now. All right. Everybody complaining. People are ready to give up. All right. What's the point of having a job? What's the point of working? People are barely making the bills, barely making rent, barely making their mortgages. You see, people are broke. Okay. Everybody's feeling the pressure nationwide, including us, those that are in the faith. But our security is going to be Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. These people of the world are going to continue to trust in the world. All right. They're going to continue to believe, you know, what they say on TV, what they say on the news. They're going to continue to trust the president and his lies. All right. About the boosting economy and how America is going to recover from this decline. You know, the whole nine. All right. We understand that this all entails prophecy. OK, that security, again, is done for. All right. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, Jake. All right. The time of grace and mercy, those doors are closing. All right. This is 1 Thessalonians 5 and 1 in the NLT. It says, now concerning how and when all this will happen, dear brothers and sisters, we don't really need to write you. For you know quite well that the day of the Lord's return will come unexpectedly, like a thief in the night. The point, verse 3, it says, when people are saying everything is peaceful and secure, then disaster will fall on them as suddenly as a pregnant woman's labor pains begin, and there will be no escape. Right. And this is why you have to turn back, Jake. This is why we're telling our people to turn back to the Lord before it's too late. Isaiah, 55? Let me get that too. All right. Isaiah 55 and verse 6, just dealing with that time of grace and mercy. Isaiah 55 and 6, it says, seek ye the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Verse 7, the point, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return unto the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and he will have mercy upon him and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon. Right. So this is the time here. All right. We're talking about a financial collapse on the way. All right. This guy, Trump, he's doing his job. He's doing what he's supposed to do. OK, they're purposely bringing this thing down. All right. So you Jakes that's still stuck in the world, still stuck in this system. You better wake the hell up. All right. It's continuing to get worse and worse day by day. All right. And this is the fall of the revived Roman Empire as we see it. I wanted to bring this out again. All right. As the scriptures say, nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. So as we see here in this article from, I can't even pronounce it. It's the IUS Roman UMEU. All right. But it says, what were the economic problems in the Roman Empire? All right. Let's just read a little bit and then we'll move on here. But it says the Roman Empire, known for its extensive conquests, intricate roadworks, intricate road networks and advanced architecture was not invincible. Despite its monumental achievements, the empire eventually crumbled. The economic problems that contributed to its decline ranged from currency debasement to internal conflicts. Everything that we're seeing happening now. All right, the devaluing of the dollar bill, the internal conflicts with what's going on within the government. All right, the people's distrust. All right, the different types of protests and rebellions that are going on. Right, people are angry at Trump and Elon Musk. All right, everything points towards the fall. So it says its decline ranged from currency debasement to internal conflicts. This article explores the economic factors that led to the Roman Empire's downfall, offering insights into how financial mismanagement and eternal turmoil can weaken even the most powerful of societies, right? So we're talking about the debasement of the Roman coinage, going back to the denarian, the impact of hyperinflation, as what we're witnessing now, right? As a result of currency debasement, hyperinflation took hold, prices soared, right? Going back to what? The tariffs, all right? Hey, like the lesson I did, the Edomite was saying that these people are getting ready to be hammered. All right, the price of goods, everything is about to go up. Okay, things are going to be completely unaffordable. All right, so you think you're stressed now? Wait till everything settles in as we see it. Right? It says prices soared and the purchasing power of Roman citizens diminished. Soldiers who were paid in the denarii demanded higher wages to compensate the reduced value of their salaries. This escalation in cost added more pressure on the Roman treasury, creating a vicious cycle that was difficult to break. All right, the same thing that happened before is the same thing that's getting ready to happen now. All right, higher taxes, bureaucratic costs, internal conflicts, and civil wars. Okay, the impacts of trade instability. All right, the collapse of trade in the Roman Empire, all these things you can read, man, which we're not going to read through, but because I brought this out before, but all these things are happening again. All right, let's get that in Revelation 6. All right, because what factors into these things is that nuclear war is around the corner. America is preparing to go to war as a result of all of this. These terrorists are just... These terrors that are happening now is a form of war itself. These are economic wars. All right. Revelation 6:6, straight to the point. It says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and wine. So as we read here, going back to the what did it say? About the currency debasement. All right. Pretty much like right now, as we're witnessing, which is causing people major stress, a day's wages, it doesn't suffice anymore. Back then, when there was, somewhat of value of the currency, now that's changed. There's no more value. All right. So the money that people are making now is not going to be able to, sustain their way of living. You see what I'm saying? And that's going back to what as we read the debasement of the currency. All right, going back to the devalue of the dollar. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing that happened then, and what's going on right now, which is going to cause these people to crack. They're going to fold under pressure. All right, we're reading about the internal conflicts that's going to go on. That's going on right in this society. All right. So this thing is about to hit, man. All right. I want to get this real quick. I was just thinking about that in Baruch, the 4th chapter. Right. Baruch 4 and. All right. Because like I said earlier, we're actually, the Lord is allowing us to witness, the fall of this economy. All right. This is Baruch 4 and 20. Baruch 4:25, and it reads, it says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from the Most High. For thy enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction. You see? So we're actually seeing it. Okay? We're seeing this internal, conflict take place. Everybody's stressed the hell out. All right? People are preparing for, some type of civil conflict to go down. Okay? Pretty much this society is going down. We're seeing it, right? But shortly thou shalt see his destruction and tread upon his neck. Right? I want to jump down. Okay? And the Lord is getting at Babylon, America, right? It's the judgment of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Baruch 4:31, it says, miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons. Right, speaking about Babylon. Okay, the great whore. It says, miserable is she that received thy sons. Right, we were brought over here to serve hardcore slavery. All right, to be oppressed, to be at the bottom. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. That's happening now. All right, ultimately dealing with the destruction, but we're seeing the internal desolation happen now, starting with this economy. All right, the internal conflict. All right, the people are losing faith. All right, the scriptures say that the strength of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. We see it. So shall she be grieved for her own desolation. All right, because now we're approaching the inevitable destruction, which is going to be nuclear war, World War III. It says, for I will take away, this is Baruch 4:34, for I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude. You see that? The rejoicing, the mirth, the pride is done. Okay? People are stressed, anxiety. Okay? I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. See that? This is all part of the mourning. Okay, this is more than half. This is majority of America right now that are stressed the hell out. Okay, these tariffs are about to wreak havoc here, man. Okay, it's going to be impossible to have any type of security and comfort, man. All right, that covering that you had, that trust in Egypt that you had, the Lord is wiping that away. Is my point. All right, we're watching the fall again. Right. Just moving on to this point too. Because the talks of America bombing Iran is all over the news right now. It's many videos up speaking about that. All right, because we know that this is the catalyst to World War III. All right, it says 8 signs that the bombing of Iran could be coming very, very soon. All right, it's gonna be a hot summer, man. Again, Lord willing, it's the year. So it says here, if bombs start falling on Iran's nuclear facilities, it would instantly be the biggest news story of 2025 so far, right? It says Iranian air defenses would need to be neutralized first, and that would be quite an extensive operation all by itself. Subsequently, destroying Iran's nuclear facilities would be extraordinarily difficult, because many of them are very deep underground. We have heard a lot about our bunker buster bombs, but there is a lot of debate about whether those bombs can actually destroy facilities that are buried that deep. All right. It says, of course, the moment the Iranians start getting bombed, they will strike back by hitting Israeli cities and U.S. bases all over the Middle East. At that point, we would be at war with the Iranians, and there would be no turning back. See? It says the following 8 signs that the bombing of Iran could be coming very soon. Number 1, it says a second U.S. aircraft carrier is being moved within striking distance of Iran. This is happening now. All right, they have those what's it called, the B-12 bombers or something like that. They're surrounding that region of Iran right now. Okay, it says number 2. It is being reported that 6 B-2 bombers have been deployed to the base on Diego Garcia. This represents 30% of our entire fleet of B-2 bombers. It says B-2 bombers, number 3, B-2 bombers that have been deployed to the Diego Garcia are being left out in the open so that the Iranians can see them. See? It says number 4, negotiations with Iran are scheduled to begin this weekend. The New York Times is reporting that the Iranians are expected to reject President Trump's demands, right? Because nobody's scared of Babylon. All right, that's Joel. Let me get that too. All right, just thinking about that. That's Joel, the 3rd chapter. All right, this is Joel 3:9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. All right, so these nations are ready for war. They're not going to back down. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. See? So these nations are not backing down to Babylon. All right? They're preparing for war just like America's preparing for war. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So the Lord is getting ready to judge these nations. These are the preparations of war. All right, finishing it out, it says, number 5, President Trump is warning that if negotiations with the Iranians do not succeed, it will be a very bad day for Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is openly telling us that a military strike on Iran has almost become inevitable. See? Number 7, now that Trump is in the White House, the Israelis believe that now is the optimum moment to deal with Iran. And number 8, it is just unverified. It is just an unverified rumor at this stage. But an Iraqi journalist named Basim, I can't pronounce the last name, is alleging that the United States, the United Kingdom, and Israel have decided to begin a bombing campaign within the next 7 days. Boom. All right, so what's happening? All right, let's get that again. The least of the flock, right? This is Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, that have taken against Babylon and his purposes, that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. All right. So again, okay, America and Israel are going to get hit. Okay, they're going to be taken down. All right, that's the report. That's prophecy, right? So let's play this video too, just to add on. All right, this came out yesterday. It's from Redacted. War with Iran will kill thousands of Americans, and the U.S. will lose. Tucker Carlson.
Well, the biggest story in Washington right now is that neocons are pushing President Trump into a war with Iran. Former UK Ambassador Richard Dalton said this morning that the threat of war with Iran has never been higher. Watch.
How seriously do you take this from President Trump?
I do take it seriously. The risk of a war between Israel and the United States on the...
Bear with me, let this pass.
and
of war with Iran has never been higher. Watch.
How seriously do you take this from President Trump?
I do take it seriously. The risk of a war between Israel and the United States on the one hand and Iran on the other has never been higher. And that's because it's been Israel's aim for many years to strike Iran, and they've always wanted to attract the United States to their side to do it because of limitations in Israel's capabilities, particularly in sustaining a long war. This is chiefly about weakening Iran as a state. Iran.
Yeah. So doing Israel's bidding, that's why Benjamin Netanyahu was in Washington yesterday. Neocons would love nothing more than carrying out Netanyahu's fantasy of destroying Iran. Well, Trump may have just thrown a monkey wrench into those neocon plans. Just yesterday, Iran was, of course, brushing off the idea of sitting down with the United States, saying direct talks were basically pointless because, according to them, Washington can't go 5 minutes without some sort of a threat of military action, which is actually true. We like to do that. But then fast forward to today, and then suddenly the script is totally flipped. And just wait until you see Netanyahu's reaction. It's priceless. On Monday, Donald Trump dropped a surprise announcement that high-level U.S. officials will be meeting directly with Iranian leaders this coming weekend. And they've actually, Iran confirmed this and actually released the date and time of where this was going to happen. Not through a proxy, not through Israel, but directly talking to Iran. He made it clear that the nuclear issue is still front and center, saying flat out that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, even though Trump's own intelligence community says that Iran's not developing a nuclear weapon. And Tulsi Gabbard in front of Congress confirmed that on the record.
And Barack Obama spent 8 years trying to prove it and never did.
Never could.
But sanctioned them to within an inch of their life.
So watch this. He admitted right in front of Netanyahu, and watch, he said, we're going to be holding talks with Iran this weekend, direct talks. And I don't know, this looked like a total blindside to Benjamin Netanyahu. Watch Benjamin Netanyahu's face when Trump let the cat out of the bag. Watch.
We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. It'll go on Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious. And the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen.
He looks like, you ever see that Will Ferrell character where he's like a cat with a ball? He's like it's just like Benjamin Netanyahu's face the whole time. It's really weird.
You know, in him saying, look, Israel doesn't want a war with Iran, and Netanyahu's like, I do. I've always.
He's like, don't speak for me.
This is the thing I've wanted my whole life. I will want for no more as soon as I get this. But it occurred to me.
Yeah, so, you get it. You could watch the rest of this on your own, man. All right, so, hey, this thing could go down this summer, Lord willing, this year, wherever the case may be. But we understand that the least of the flock should draw them out, and that's exactly what's going on as we see it. Israel is drawing America into this war with Iran, which is going to initiate World War III. So, again, man, all these things tied to the end of this place. We are at the end of the road, all right? We're here. There's nothing else to be said, man. It's the time of the Lord's judgment. Shalom.